Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Pollan, coach, writer, and a deeply curious human, and this is Hello Void. This series is a collection of unscripted conversations at the intersection of psyche and uncertainty in 2025. I'm sitting down with coaches, creatives, thinkers, entrepreneurs, feelers, healers, really anybody who wants to explore what it means to be human with me. All of this, like emotionally, spiritually, mentally, everything at a time when the world just feels increasingly chaotic, contradictory, and wired for overwhelm. So I'm talking to people about how they are making sense of their inner lives, how they're learning to live alongside emotional pain and uncertainty, and also what they've noticed in the people that they work with too. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that being human is not a solo experience. It's relational. It's bittersweet. It's joy and grief, expansion and fear, doubt and wonder, everything all sitting side by side at once. So today I'm talking with Leona Douglas, a shaman energy healer and spiritual life coach. Thank you so much for coming on, Leona. You want to start off by telling me about you and why you said yes to having this conversation today?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So, as a shamanic energy healer that practices in different forms of energy work, from theta healing to Reiki, to also being a body worker and spiritual life coach, I say yes to any opportunity to have connection and conversation because I believe that community is everything. I'm always trying to find what I call my high vibe tribe or my soul family. And so for me, the reason I like speaking is because I believe that it gives us a platform to connect. We get to learn something new and then be able to share that with the world because I do believe that knowledge is power. And the more that we can learn from one another, the more that we can then help reflect and do some healing in ourselves. And then that creates a really awesome ripple effect, right? Like if we work
Mhm.
on us and those people around us feel that energy and that movement, it just creates that ripple effect and keeps going out. So that's why I'm here.
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't know about you, but the way that I feel about it is even when I speak on things that I'm intimately familiar with, that I have said before, I am also still reminding myself I am still learning. And every time I say it, it's reinforcing that lesson for myself.
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing when we teach how much deeper we learn from ourselves. And so then when we have those conversations that might be similar, it's like a remembering on a deeper level.
Absolutely. So, how is your understanding of what it means to be human changed in the past few years, emotionally, spiritually, otherwise?
I think being human, I believe that we're all energy, right? And energy consciousness and vibration and frequency has become a lot more aware and more mainstream, which is really awesome because, when I would talk, everybody's like, oh, woo woo, or they'd be like, like witchcraft, or like, like they just didn't understand the words and the languaging that I was using a lot of the time. And so I think now other humans are starting to understand that we're just light beings and energy, and that we just take this human skeleton form on and we're practicing being a human being in this lifetime because I perceive that there has been many lifetimes that I've been other forms and other beings and even human in different forms and have taken different lessons and learnings, and through past life regression meditations that my hypnotherapist friends have brought me with, I've really been able to see that on a deeper level. And I just think it's really cool that we're just practicing this whole like being a human thing.
Yeah, I sometimes I think of myself as a soul in a meat suit, if I'm quite honest.
Yep.
And I'm vegetarian too, so I think part of it is that I giggle at the idea of being a vegetarian with a meat suit, and it just makes me happy. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I call it like because we have these three internal molecules that go with us to each lifetime. So I'm like, where there's spirit energy bodies that is just surrounded in this like human form. And it's just a form, like, that we're in. And it's so funny that so people are concerned about their physical form, right? And I'm like, it's just the stuff that holds in the good stuff. The good stuff is like your essence, your soul, your kindness, your heart, right? But society these days are just so focused on the exterior form, and I'm like, that's not even the good stuff.
yeah, I was a graphic designer in a past life and a user experience designer, and part of my transition, like kind of through those careers, was often as a graphic designer, your job is to make sure things look good. It's how they look, right? And I was more like, okay, but what about how it works? What about the story behind it? Like, what about how all of these pieces are coming together? And I'm always been a natural question asker. And it started to become more like, okay, how can we use design as a way to make things work and not just have them look as though they work, but actually work?
Yeah, how things look, it's like, well, how does it look, is like, how does it make you feel then, right? All about the feeling that you get from it. And so I rather wear a big smile and makes, someone feel special or brighten a day, or say hello to a stranger in the grocery store. I am that weirdo that will say hello to you. And I love that because, I compliment someone. I'm like, oh, I love your dress or that bracelet you're wearing or something like that. And you have no idea if that person is having like the worst day. And that one little thing like totally brightened their day
Mhm.
and created a better human experience for them, right? Like to see that someone saw them, that they were noticed. And so I think that's just so important. If you are going to worry about the external, use it as a form of like compliment to do something kind and nice, like a random act of kindness.
Absolutely. So, in your working with clients and just in general, like what emotional patterns and struggles do you see people wrestling with the most?
I would say the number one that keeps coming up is fear and worry. And fear, just like time's kind of illusion or not construct that's not really there. And same with worry. Worrying does nothing, right? Like we worry about something that's could happen, but it actually hasn't, or we worried about something that happened, which was in the past, and now we can't do anything about it. So what are you worrying for? Like, can you figure out how to change your state now in order to make the state now better so that your like tomorrow could be even better? And I think that that has really what I keep seeing in all my spiritual life coaching clients is like this fear and worry. And it's really just clearing out what they could have ingrained and turned beliefs, that they've learned and gotten conditioned with out so that they can understand that those are just things that aren't really there. We make them up in our big, beautiful brains.
Yeah, I was on a coaching call earlier today with a group of people, and someone went back to thinking about how just some random kid when they were in elementary school had said that you don't have anything to talk about. And I was realizing, oh yeah, I had absolutely ingrained some of that as well, just from the various things that have happened to me in childhood. And so it's a matter of becoming aware of them so that then I can shift it
Yeah.
and choose how to move forward.
Yeah, and being aware of it, as coaches, that's where we come in because as we say, you can't see the label inside the jar. When people are so involved in it, they can't actually see it. And that's what's so great about us as coaches is we can bring some of that awareness and like, have you ever thought of, or did you ever notice, or have you ever felt this way? And those questionings, right? You're saying you're like, always questioning and curious about things. That's what helps us get deeper is if we don't ask the questions, then we can't get to those deeper levels.
And sometimes when we are like, if there's one thing I've learned from my experience of being a big question asker, is that you can't really control how other people are going to take the questions because we all have our own filters, our own subjective experiences. And so, whereas I'm asking an innocent question or just, hey, I'm just curious, it can come across to other people as they are being invasive, they are prying, and a lot of that is like a defense mechanism that goes up because they haven't really let themselves look at that stuff before.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a good point. I love that.
What do you think people are really longing for right now?
I think people are longing for connection and not even just with each other, but with themselves. I think truly connecting to yourself first and getting that true deep love. Like, I believe I'm here on this planet right now in this lifetime, helping people learn that love is truly comes from within. And we have to work on that self love first before we then can give it to others. And that love and acceptance and forgiveness comes within before it can go outward. And so once we can really start deeply connecting to ourselves, then we can connect with others because I do believe that connection is one of the most important things that people are longing for and wanting to have. And now more than ever, I think with so much technology, it's like a double-edged sword. Sometimes it keeps us like apart, but then like I would never be able to have this conversation with you if we didn't use this technology. So I see it as a blessing and I'm grateful that we get to have this connection this way.
Absolutely. Is there an idea or belief about emotional well-being that you used to hold but no longer do?
Emotional well being that I used to hold that now I don't. Um, Yeah, I used to think emotional well being because being a meditative practitioner and energy healer, I used to think that you had to do like deep, long times of meditation and prayer time to be able to, say that you're meditating. And I really learned that it didn't matter the length, it was the intention and the energy behind it. And if my intention and energy was like, in these next 2 minutes, I'm going to be as mindful and ask my intuition or my guides or creator to come in and like ask, get clarity for myself, or get present or get closer to my breath or bring in gratitude. Like if I have 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to be able to do that, that's better than nothing. I always say like something's better than nothing. And
Yeah.
the intention behind it. So I think that was the bigger thing, is like I always thought like yoga had to be like a full hour practice, in the studio. And now I'm like, with all my injuries that I've had, I'm grateful that I can do 10 minutes from like a YouTube video on my floor at home. And I feel like, again, like I'm celebrating those small wins. I'm like, yeah, I did my yoga practice. I did some abs. I did like 5-10 minutes of meditation this morning. Like I'm rocking. And before I'd be like, it has to be an hour. It has to be this long. There was like all these kind of like restraints to it because we got told that this is how you do it, right? And then I realized that it doesn't really matter the length. It's really the energy and the intention and doing something versus nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And that is how I feel about like meditation in general. I know myself included and other people that I have talked to often think that there's one right way to do it. Like if you're not, I think it's TM, the style of meditation. If you're not sitting and you're not cross-legged and you're not having your hands resting in lotus pose, like then you're not actually meditating. And it's like, no, the meditation, the mindfulness, the goal is to get in tune with the present moment and to not judge it or whatever, shame it, whatever. It's just to be there with what's actually present in the moment. And if for you that happens while you're washing dishes, fantastic. If it happens like while you're petting your cat, great. Like there's no one right way to do it. It's just what's right for you in that moment.
100% love that. Yep. Agree.
Well, speaking of meditation, you have a free gift for listeners. You want to tell us about that?
Yes. So I do have a guided theta meditation. So theta healing, for those that don't know, you get into this theta brainwave, this state of like deep relaxation, and it allows your brain to get into that meditative state. And then I do what I call creative commands, where we clear out, anything that's no longer serving you, and then I refill you. So with the meditation, I'll guide you up into the seventh plane. We'll do a clearing and refilling, bring you back into your third dimensional body to allow for the integration into that seventh plane energy to come back into your third dimensional body.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I think I'm gonna check that out. So
Yeah,
there will be a website with the link for that in the show notes.
awesome.
Anybody else who's interested.
To my YouTube channel, I have other ones too. So I have different types of meditation, breath work, some body movements, things like that. So once you get like that other one and you get my email list and you get to see like all the different platforms, you can kind of check out some of the other ones in there.
Beautiful. What's your handle on YouTube?
Empowering wellness. Just like my website, empoweringwellness.me. It's all about you empowering your health and wellness. So that's took me a long time to figure out how I was going to put all my physical and mental and emotional and spiritual and health and wellness. I mean, I have a degree in sports medicine, athletic training, but I started doing Reiki when I was in college, and now I'm doing shamanic energy work and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, what? And I talk about like chemical free living and all these supplements and energy frequency machines. And I'm like, it's all wellness, right? It's all whole body stuff. And we have to empower ourselves because we have to advocate for ourselves, especially in traditional medicine world. Like if you're not your own advocate, if you're not empowering yourself to like say what you need to say, get what you need to get, like following up into it. And so it ended up being like more than just like a website. It really is like what I believe. Like you have to empower your wellness for your own well-being. So that's why I came up with empoweringwellness.me, because it's all about you.
I love it. It makes me think mine is follow the dopamine, and it was like permission to myself to do what interests me. And then I went with the domain .life because this is my life. This is the way that I believe in being in the world. And it is really interesting to me, like, not the only one who's done that,
Yeah,
right? Like, I love it so much.
me too. That's awesome.
Well, what's one last thing that you feel called to leave listeners with today?
I would say that know that you're worthy and deserving of a better experience. And if you don't think that you can have that experience alone, know that you can reach out to others for support because we are supposed to be in community and connection. And that's the best thing. If you need to have that, like that lifeline, like call out for it, reach out for it. Know that if that is something that you're longing for, then that's the best thing to do because I believe that we're all worthy of love, acceptance, and forgiveness. And if we start with that and create an attitude of gratitude and we spend more time connecting to ourselves to then be open enough and safe enough and feel ready enough to connect with other people's, it's one of the most beautiful thing you can do, to have a heart connection with someone else and lead from your heart. I always say you want to communicate in the frequency of love, and so that's why the heart chakra is connected to the throat chakra, is that you want to speak and hear in the frequency of love, so you want to make sure it's all connected and it's all flowing together.
All aligned.
Yep, exactly, all
I
about
love that.
creating coherence between heart and brain and then allowing the body to be in resonance in that higher vibration. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your perspective. I have like so many other questions that I want to ask you, and I know that I will talk to you again, and so I will be able to ask you a whole bunch of them then.
I look forward to it. I wanted to also let everybody know, if you are craving in-person connection as well, I have a great women's retreat that has a few spots left this fall, November 12th through the 16th in New Smyrna Beach. And it's called Empowering Elemental Alchemy, because we're going to be working with the elements and how we can, flow through life, adding that water element, or ignite the passion with that fire, use your breath and communication to be able to connect. And then also make sure that you're grounding yourself into Mother Earth. So it's really going to be talking about the practices, how you utilize them, and creating that community and connection. And one of my favorite things about retreats is you get to witness one another in the journey of the healing. And that's so powerful. And I believe the connections that you make in a retreat are none like anything else. One of my best friends in the whole entire world now I met at a retreat. We didn't know each other. We got paired in the same room together, and it was like the most magical thing. And I was like in her wedding, and we talk all the time. And like, who would have thought, like, Pepper in Greenwich, Connecticut would have been my best friend that I met in Switzerland. But I showed up and said yes and knew that's where I needed to be. And magic happened from there. So yeah, community and connection is huge for me. And that's why I like to do events. And that's why I do retreats, is so we can have that connection, whether it's online or in person.
And you had mentioned an early bird.
Yes, I have an early bird special. It goes to July 15th, so it's going to be 2,700. And with that, you're going to get a energy session with my friend Juliana and I, who are co-facilitating it. And so we're going to work on some energy clearing and refilling and balancing of chakras and set your intention for the retreat, which is going to be awesome. And then you get that along with the discount until July 15th. And then afterwards, it goes up to 3,333. And then another cool special I did is, if you sign up and you invite a friend and they sign up, then I will gift you as a thank you a body work or stretch session during the retreat. So we got a couple cool specials going on. And again, you can find all that information out on my website.
Beautiful. And again, that will definitely be in the show notes. I encourage anybody who feels spoken to with that to check it out.
Yes. And we want to make sure, if you're liking this and this is resonating with you, our call to action for you is to share it. We want to share and create community and connection. And so if you're wanting Kate to be able to have this human experience and conversation with you, I highly recommend that you reach out to her and get onto her show. And it starts by sharing it so other people can hear that we're all just looking to figure out this human experience, to communicate, to grow, expand. I always say, if you're not growing and expanding, then you're dying and stagnant. And so, I like growth and expansion.
Yes, me too. Yes. Thank you so much for that. I know, like, I enjoy having these conversations, and any kind of sharing, liking, subscribing is very helpful. I hear that on podcasts all the time, and it's my turn to actually say that to people. So, absolutely. And for anybody listening, if you want to connect with me or find out more about my coaching, you can find me at followthedopamine.life. It's my website, on Instagram at followthedopamine.life, or over on Substack at followthedopamine. Again, all links will be included in the show notes. And if this conversation sparks something in you and you want to explore what it means to be human with me in all of its bittersweet mess and beauty, I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, thanks for being here. Share this with whomever your heart tells you to. And Leona, again, thank you so much for being here. And for everybody, thanks for being you. Bye.
Thank you. Namaste.